Hey everyone, it's Christine. Welcome back to my channel and to this weekly energy forecast for April 8th through the 14th. I named this video Total Eclipse of the Heart. I kept hearing that, and apparently when I did my research just on the song, I found out it's a popular tune around the eclipses, but it kept prominently coming in, and I think it had to do a lot with relationships. You guys, how are you all feeling? Drop down an emoji to represent how you're feeling right now, because I suspect many of you have been feeling this energy from the solar eclipse in Aries today. And some of you may have been feeling it strongly because the energy, I feel with the new moon, it's different. It's not as strong, but it's going to vary for everyone. That's why I ask all the time. You may have been feeling it right after the other because these eclipses are back to back. And I felt like the lunar one was just very, very strong, and it stayed for more than a week with me. Again, back to the song, Total Eclipse of the Heart. I put it down below just for your reference, you guys. I don't get anything from it. Take a look at that song. I've heard it before, you know, it's not something that I've always listened to, and I just sat there listening and watching the video. I'm like, shit, this song really exemplifies so many themes beyond romantic, but our hearts, many people have had heart chakra openings, activations, balancings, or feeling like it's unbalanced, and a lot of, again, repressed emotions, grief, even with the throat too, communication. So much is coming out, and I feel like this is also speaking to the changing dynamic. So many of you are going to get your own messages. I am clairaudient, and I know I connect with many folks who have many different clairs, maybe all of them, or other gifts. So that's why I always say I tend to channel a lot of songs, music, literature, words. Sometimes I'll just hear hums and I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I figure out the song? And everyone is going to get something different. Happy birthday to my Aries. Let's continue this Aries fest. I feel like we are just moving along really quickly. Aries season seems to jump. It feels like the preceding 3 months with Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, it felt slower, but we're already moving in this new year. Let's dive into the astrology, you all. Reminder, all times are in Eastern Standard Time, New York City time for reference. Today, at 1:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the total solar eclipse happening in Aries. I highly recommend watching the Libra lunar eclipse. I'll post a video somewhere here simply because the themes, these are opposites, right? Libra and Aries. So many of the themes are highlighting similar things. And there's an overlapping energy here between yourself and others, who you are solo and with others, and the changing relationships that we are all undergoing with ourselves, collectively, I'll say, and with other people, especially also too wherever Aries is being activated in your chart. Be really careful about rushing into anything because we have a lot of this Aries energy now and a lot of planets now in Aries because it's the season and many of them are joining after leaving Pisces. We may feel that strong urge to say, let's go do this. I'm ready, ready to start that new routine, ready to start that new habit, whatever it is. We may feel that initiation because Mars is like positive. You can use it in a positive way, a bulldozer energy, where we can use that passion, that vitality, assertiveness, bravery too if we're doing new things, but also energy, right? It's like having that fire under our bellies to keep going, to put in that time and get things done. But with this eclipse and also with Mercury retrograde, be extra careful because you may feel like you want to make decisions and this isn't the time. It's almost like tension. It's almost like, okay, you're coming here, but not yet. Let me pull you here. And I got strong contradictory double whammy, I call it double whammy energy here because the moon, sun, and Chiron conjunct one another and with the north node within 4 degrees. Mercury has also recently gone retrograde last week, and it's under the beams of the sun here and combusts. So Mercury's like, oh, help me out. And he's not exactly winning at this point. So he wants to zoom forward. And he's like, let me join the others, my other teammates in Aries, and let's go. Let's get this done. I'll help you with mental and logical stimulation, with wisdom, with knowledge, with connections and communications. but he can't because he's in Mercury. And so a lot of this is going inward, tapping back into you. So what this is telling us in a nutshell is that we are going to feel, again, a surge forward, but then being asked to stop. So that's that brake accelerator energy I mentioned last week, where you may feel like you're zooming forward and then you're like, what's happening? I'm not getting anything back. And then we pause. So just keep that in mind, especially in the Aries energy of your life. Frustrations may come up. Things may not be working on your timeline, even though they may be going forward or progressing. And I feel like this eclipse is also reminding you too, because it's highlighting that Aries energy where we all are being asked to take perhaps an autonomous, more self-reliant, independent avenue at this time and say, you know what, let's put a pause on anything that maybe is not responding, it's not taking action or off in the way that we want, or we're just pushing or putting too much energy into this and we're going to end up frustrated, upset, and annoyed. This isn't also a time to make any fast decisions about any issues related to travel, business, finance, commerce, communications. If you have to really use your intuition, check it yourself maybe 3 times, and maybe have someone else that you trust to look it over. If it's especially important, like a contract or anything that regards business or work where you want to present something that is like clean, in other words, with not a lot of mistakes or anything that could cause major issues. Friendships too, there may be some communications, and this eclipse is highlighting a lot of this. And I mentioned some of these themes from Mercury retrograde because Mercury is involved in this eclipse energy. So we are acknowledging a lot about who we are. It's almost like a stopping point and looking down the mountain saying, damn, I've really healed and grown a lot right now. Taking stock of how much and what you've experienced, where you are right now. We can use maybe the pandemic as a starting point for many, and many folks have been on this journey for years and decades. So wherever you feel comfortable, but we'll just say since the pandemic, many people can agree that there has been a massive and accelerated jump forward in life in general. So many things have changed in those last 4 years. So we're really focusing now on solidifying and crafting who we are. For some people, this is going to be a brand new expression or identity, and it's a new way of being, which may be it may feel different, it may feel uncomfortable, it may feel scary. And the Aries energy is supporting us, saying, think back up everything you've healed, especially when it comes to other people, what other people have told you, maybe any woundings or traumas in relation to family and to friends and simply other people around you. And look at how it's created the version of you that exists today, because you wouldn't be here without all of that. Some of you are also going to finally realize with this eclipse, and this is very general, because eclipses, again, tend to bring faded energies. I try to create videos around the eclipse to provide more guidance for your journey, and you can view them wherever they pop up here. But ultimately, some of this is things going to be coming out that you may not expect. So you may just realize, I deserve better. Or I finally learned what it is that I needed to in this environment, in this situation, in this relationship, or in life in general, because it could be an overall theme that has impacted different areas of your life. So clarity is coming, a lot of points, perhaps contentions around healing right now and integrating, and anything pinging you, pay attention, anything still pinging you or triggering you or bringing up old wounds, those are being asked to heal, almost like the last peel or onion layer of an onion. You know, that skinny, invisible or thin layer of the onion where sometimes you're trying to get it off and it clumps together. That's what I'm getting here, because it's asking you, we want to make sure that none of these come up, because we want you to have healthier relationships, healthier relationship to self, be able to respect, honor, and to step into your authority, regardless of what other people respond or think of you, and to keep going your way. Okay, on April 10th, you all, Mars in Pisces conjoins Saturn in Pisces. Game is on. I'm not really sure why I channeled this title. I kept seeing a lot of sports, and I'm not a sports expert by any means, but some of you may really enjoys sports, think Mars. It could be anything combative, maybe wrestling, like sumo wrestling or wrestling in general, or those types of martial arts fightings, or sports like football, American football or soccer. So many different events where people play or they're competing. There's an intensity here around putting in all your blood, sweat, and tears to heal and accomplish what you want. That's why I got with the eclipse energy previously with that alignment. Some of you are just saying, I'm so done. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't deserve this shit. And sometimes it takes those last pings to make you realize no more. Because this Mars energy, which is all around us, it can be frustrating. It can bring out lower octaves of ourselves, but also repressed feelings and emotions where we're like, whoa, where did this come from? And it's actually healthy to let it out in a constructive way. We have both malefics here in Pisces, and both of them are not really comfortable, but we're seeing the truth of the reality, which is why I feel like the game on metaphor and why I saw a lot of sports is happening. Because when you see sports, and I think a lot of them are recorded so they can, rewind back if they have to see anything in particular, like with boundaries and such. But this energy is really about reclaiming yourself, your power, your authority, and who you are, and saying enough is enough. With this particular alignment, I portend, I'll say I saw conflicts, splits, divisions, and going separate ways, especially with males and older figures, but anyone you've been engaged in some type of relationships, perhaps for a while with the Saturnian energy. Doesn't have to be. Patience is required. And sometimes, I'll tell you, learning to have space in relationships is something so many people are honoring and actually integrating in new ways, because many people think you have to try to solve something in a relationship, or they push one another, or someone pushes the other, and things can explode. Because in relationships, sometimes people aren't ready to communicate or aren't ready to make a decision. Whether it's a work, friendship, or romantic relationship, or an environment as such. Even yourself, sometimes you need that space. And Mercury in retrograde right now, and even with the eclipse, so many things may feel out of our control. So many things are asking us to reflect, rewind, right? To revisit the past and ask, okay, have I completely really addressed that? What's going on here? Are things popping up again? Do we need to talk about this? So a lot of patience with this alignment is going to really help you, because Mars can be tempestuous and pissed off, while Saturn is slow and steady. So think of it, it's like two malefic siblings together, and Mars is like, let's go, we can do this. And Saturn's like, wait, hold on, we got to take our time. So many of you are going to be in situations and you'll realize this is the last straw that you're putting up with, or you may get something that pings back to you that shows you the truth of what's been happening, and it finally sinks in. It clicks like a seatbelt click, where you finally get it and you're like, I understand now what it is that I'm learning, and I understand what it is that I don't want to experience anymore. On April 11th, we have Mercury, Aries in retrograde, Cazimi. So this happens when the Sun and Mercury, which is currently retrograde, conjunct with one another. So the Sun, it represents illumination, clarity, ambition, intelligence or wisdom, our soul, life force, vitality, or soul expression, excuse me, I left the word out. Hermes represents Mercury, and this is the god of the messengers, right? So there's a reset happening here with this retrograde and an aha moment that's going to be coming particularly inward. So a lot of messages have been coming from within us, within our connection to our spiritual teams, to the divine, however you denote it, God, universe, source, ball of energy. You're going to get fast, perhaps quick, and I kept getting sparky is a word. Perhaps people that do auto mechanic work or car work, when you put two spark plugs, maybe it's not the spark plug, I'm calling it wrong, jumper cables, and they spark. I kept seeing that. You're going to get a lot of hits here on clarity around what you need to do, how you need to go about communicating with someone or expressing yourself, and with whom. Maybe that'll help you too with patching up or realizing it's time to go separate ways, where you need to go in terms of your life direction and what needs to happen. Because Mercury represents travel, movement, direction. So get ready for Hermes, Mercury, to come knocking on your door. A lot of messages in this season. Coming up On April 19th, the sun enters Taurus. On the 20th, Jupiter in Taurus conjuncts Uranus in Taurus. This is the big one many astrologers have been talking about. So let's get into the astrology, you all. So many, I feel, epiphanies happening where people are really taking note and giving themselves kudos. If you're not, I highly recommend really acknowledging how far you've come, giving yourself a lot of grace in this healing journey. It's really, really easy to shame yourself. It's really easy for others to shame you and to say, wait a minute, we're humans. I keep telling this to people when we talk to anyone. If we were perfect and if we were enlightened, why the hell would we be down here? Some are here as examples, but I feel like many people come here to learn lessons. That's what our souls come here. They want to learn. They don't want to just coast because it's boring as hell coming down here. When you can be in other realms that are a lot less volatile than Earth is, and this, I'll say, dimension. What messages do we need to know for the week of April 8th? Any messages, any broad collective messages or guidance? I keep hearing, for some of you, pay attention to your dreams and write down what's happening, even if they're glimpses. Because some of you are getting glimpses like you're in the seat of a car, you know, when you drive, but sometimes when you drive, you may not always see everything in front of you. You're getting glimpses of different vistas. In other words, almost like snapshots, like pictures. So pay attention to what's coming up. Got 9 of Cups here at the bottom of the deck. 6 of Cups, a lot of cup energy. Look at this. Many of you are connecting with past life ancestors. You're connecting with ancestors, past life experiences too. I just said that completely wrong. And I feel like they're illuminating to you moments that are going to help you in this lifetime click, almost like positive guidances or reassurances or like a knowing. Got the Judgment card in reversed. Something about twos that have been coming up repeatedly. This is Libra energy. Knight of Cups. Why? We only got 2 cards. I was looking for all the other cards that fell and only 2. This is water. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Tune into what you're feeling right now and what you're sensing all around you. There's a major cycle that's coming to an end, and you may be feeling it. And you know when you feel like something's about to end, especially if you don't want to let go of it or you're resisting it. Some of you may be emotionally resisting it, but physically you have accepted it, or vice versa. Emotionally, it may have clicked, but physically you're like, It's kind of like when you say goodbye to someone, but you keep reconnecting. You know that energy? And so there may be a moment where in the midst, because I'm seeing just a lot of movement, almost like a tornado activity, and when things you see just shifting a lot, where you may be trying to grasp or hold on to whatever it is that's still familiar to you. And this is a time of release and letting go. This is also a time to connect to what it is that's you're hearing and feeling and sensing. Many people already know this eclipse is going to tell you, that's not the right word. You're going to receive and feel messages. Because when I said the previous, I don't want you to think that the eclipse is going to announce, or these energies are going to name things that you have to do. It's coming from within you and your connection to the divine strongly here. There's some type of movement coming that you are going to realize that's going to allow you to accelerate forward. There's a rebalancing of the scales happening as well. You know when lessons have been learned, or you completely finish a type of game or a race or maybe a level in a video game, and now you're moving on to the next. It's similar to this right now. Sorry you guys for the glare. This is what I'm sensing strongly. You've come to the end of the road. I'm hearing that song, Boys to Men, End of the Road. Some of you already know, I feel already, like days or weeks, maybe months, that something is coming to an end. And you know when you just know you feel it, but you're still trying to catch up to it mentally or emotionally here with the cups? For some, it could be relationships. Again, a lot of relationship energy. If it's not, it could be a connection to a goal, a dream, something that you desire. It could be to your own self and allowing yourself to get in touch with what you're feeling and sensing. A lot of psychic and spiritual energy, connecting to your own channel, to the divine, paying attention to what you're receiving. Because what you have been feeling in your body, and you just know, sometimes you can't explain it. You ever have those instances where you're like, I know it's time for me to move on. I know I need to jump and take this opportunity. I know I need to travel to this place, or I need to borrow that book. Everyone is going to have something different right now, especially with these energies surrounding us. Some of you know it's time to let go of something, but you're still holding on. And perhaps throughout the month of April, and as we continue progressing through Mercury's energy, which is currently retrograde, you may suddenly realize, this is what I need to do. Maybe you're not ready to do it right now, but it's going to come. So just stay tuned to that, because I feel like there's going to be changes here that can bring about an emotional release, which is very cathartic, very healing, very positive for you. And this is going to be with everything. People that they're like, I'm done with this relationship. They're like, I'm out of here. And others where you're like, I don't really want to leave this, but I know I'm ready to grow and expand elsewhere. Because there's an energy here of movement and traveling with the Knight of Cups that I'm getting right away. And sometimes, you know, when we're ready, we feel it. We're ready to grow. And it can be so scary, because sometimes that means leaving behind family, friends, what you're used to, and taking a leap of faith and doing something different. And that means leaving something that you've learned to feel comfortable around or in. So there's a lot of this energy about holding on and not wanting to let go. It's kind of like when you have your favorite item of clothing, like a favorite sweater, and that sucker has been with you for a long time and it's ready to be put down, you know, maybe donated or discarded, and you're like, I'm just using that as a metaphor, you guys, and I'm not encouraging you to release objects if they're sentimental, but it's similar like that. Because when you finally release, waterworks come out, emotions, and there's an acceptance. I feel so emotional right now. There's an acceptance that comes where this is never going to come back again. Some of you are going to experience that with this Aries energy, where whatever it is that you are releasing or letting go of, you're not going to experience, and you know this for the last time. And it's like a bittersweet, nostalgic memory. I got so emotional. I started getting like teary. Okay, we're going to tap into some oracle and see what additional messages you need to be aware of for this week. Sometimes in the face of any type of adversity, challenge, grief, loss, betrayal, or even simply releasing and letting go, we try to put on a brave face, because that's what Aries can do sometimes. But a lot of these energies, it's almost like squeezing an orange. You may just feel like I can't hold it back anymore, and you got to let it out. And it's going to feel, obviously during that moment of crying, it can feel scary and vulnerable because a lot's coming out. But afterwards, it's like a cleansing. Okay. First quarter moon in Taurus, release control. This is it. Some of you, there's an underlying fear of letting go, physically or emotionally, something. And this eclipse in Aries, especially since the energy is predominant this whole week, it's asking you, there's something in something that you're letting go of from the past, or that will become part of your past, because you're entering into a new arena. You're being pushed to go forward here. And when we are excited, even if we want to do this, right? It's kind of like traveling abroad or leaving your job. It's still scary because you're like, you may have loved your job, but you're like, I need to go. You just feel it. And when we release control, we are leaning into faith, kind of like falling down and hoping someone catches you. We're leaning into faith and trust that everything is going to be okay here. Because the Taurus energy too is one of endurance, of stability, of building, strength, virility. And it comes right after Aries too, which is amazing. So some things that you are being asked some things that you may be asking to be released, or you're feeling like it's time to let go or time to end, or even things with the eclipse energy that may come about and bring an ending of some sort. Because with every ending, there's a new beginning. And you may see this in Taurus season. You may realize it's always in retrospect. It's never before. No one ever says, you know what? Everything's going to work out. Generally, we don't feel it in our body, but we're like, I hope everything works out. We don't generally go with that frame of mind. For some, it takes a lot of work, but it's always in retrospect where we're like, damn, everything worked out really good, sometimes even better. So this is practice for many of us of letting go and learning to let go with the seasons of life and the cycle of life. Okay, let's tap into the Starseed Oracle. I feel like I'm shaking. I think I'm shaking my desk because I'm shuffling so hard. Okay, we have 2 Starseed cards. You're not alone. Isolation, physical connection, and community. Major themes here. This is the first one. Many folks are being reshuffled. It may feel like you're being reshuffled like chess or like checkers or game pieces. Again, I've mentioned this before. Many folks are going to experience like dissolution or dissolving or breakups of community groups, relationships. And it can be very, very upsetting, brings about grief. You may wonder, who am I without my people, or who you thought were your people, or who you thought you belonged to? Because many people form community and groups to belong in some way. This is a sign of inspiration too, of hope, because you know when you are being reshuffled, I keep getting laundry. You know when you do laundry and everything mixes together, especially if you can see it, whether it's from the top or what is it, the front loader, you can see the laundry moving, everything's mixed. And things don't really separate until they're either dried individually outside or in the dryer. So what you're going through now may feel like there's no one here to support me, but it's coming. It's like the things are cooking behind the scenes. You know, for any of you that use slow cookers or a crock pot, and you put your food inside, most of us don't sit there for 13 hours and look at the food in the pot cooking. We leave it and that's it, right? And you trust that that button's going to work and that food will be ready. It's kind of like this energy here. If any of you are going through major shifts, and collectively I bring up these themes, but it's going to think about where these energies are activating right now in your life, especially Aries, Libra axis. And personally, when you look at your own natal chart, where the transits are impacting your natal planets or planetary points, or bodies, I should say, any other mathematical points and also aspects, because everything is happening behind the scenes. You may not realize what's going on. It's almost like the universe is playing its own chess. We may feel it energetically because we're like, crap, where'd my group go? Where'd my friends go? Where'd my people go? Or things are being shifted, but they're coming because, again, remember the theme here of identity throughout the last several weeks and with these eclipses and with our relationships. When we're changing, as we're changing, and we're all shifting big time pretty quickly, the people that we connect to and the groups that we connect to, in the past tense I should say, that we used to, they may no longer resonate with us. Think about the groups you were involved in when maybe you were in elementary school. And then fast forward 20 years. Could you imagine being part of maybe a sports team for little kids? It's similar like that. As you change, so do your interests, your identities, your expression, your stages of life. Sometimes when you're in school, you have friends in school and then people disperse. Some people start working, some people get married, some people go on to travel around like nomads around the world, some people have kids. Whatever it is, you may find different types of communities through at each season of life. But it's coming. This is such a powerful message about, okay, right now there may be a transitory there may be a transitory time or point in your journey where you may be physically like around you alone, divinely, spiritually, you're not alone, and the connections are coming. So when that happens, think of it, okay, we're at a rest stop. Let me go pee, let me refill my snacks, let me take care of myself. And these moments, these interceding moments, when we are going through these big shifts, they're a really excellent time to hone back on self. Okay, it's kind of like when you are on a road trip and you have to do maintenance on the car. Let me check the water, not the water levels, oil, coolant, and any other fluids, brake engine. Let me check the tires to make sure they look good. Let me do a walk around, replenish the food, gas look okay. Same concept with ourselves. So if any of you are experiencing these big shifts with your relationships and you're like, where did they go? Why don't people want to come back? Or people just poof and left. It just is happening because things are moving and you're being prompted. It's time for you to go ahead. You've grown. New folks are coming. New energies are coming. But for the time being, focus on you. Your second card, the golden children. Did I ever get this one? Inner child, tenderness, innocence, rare gifts. A lot of kid energy. Kept seeing playgrounds, which is why I mentioned the kids. But look at this. Some of you that may feel alone, and sometimes when it seems like your group, friends, and I'm going to keep it broad, it could be your relationships of any type or the communities or groups you're involved with, or even your network, your professional network, and you're like, it's not resonating, or they disappeared, or what's happening, or things feel weird, or we're shifting. Because there's all of that happening right now. That can ding at your inner child. For any of you that have experienced abandonment, feelings of rejection, not feeling loved. A lot of these themes are coming up, especially since we have Chiron and the moon and the sun conjunct one another. And so these themes are coming up. And the way I see it is, it's not to hurt you, but to say, you've healed so much. Do these things still bother you? What needs to be addressed? How can you support yourself? Because the Aries energy is also asking us, you have everything you need to take care of yourself too. That's not to say to allow others in, but it's also telling you you're responsible for nurturing and parenting yourself, for tending to your inner child and any wounds that come up. A lot with relationships that are dinging, because we have isolation here, and there's some folks that may not like ever being alone. And this time, if you find yourself in a time where it feels like you're alone, it's also helping you strengthen your resolve, strengthen your inner sense of who you are, strengthen your comfort with change, and also learning to find joy in what you do, what interests you, and who you are, and to take action towards new things. I keep getting, you're connecting back to soul people. Some of you with this eclipse in Aries, I don't know if I mentioned this in last week's video or in this one. You're going to open up to new gifts. They may be latent or have been latent since childhood, or it could be from another life, but I feel like many of you are going to open up to gifts. They could be practical gifts you can use here that you've used in another lifetime, like maybe being an orator, a speaker, motivational speaker, or a writer. It could be acting, design, some type of skill. It could also be a spiritual skill, connecting to the other side in the form of mediumship, or a new clair that's opening up. whether it's clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairgustance, clairalience. Maybe telepathy has gotten stronger, or you're receiving that, and now you can communicate with people, or maybe you're communicating with animals. Those in-between times where we find ourselves like, hey, where'd the community go? Those are precisely the times where it's self-check, self-maintenance, self-love, and we're like, okay, reboot time. Final oracle, you guys. You guys are exactly where you need to be. Final message here. Thank you. I pulled the Hero's Journey Oracle. We got 38, which reduces to an 11. You've won the lottery. Make room for wonderment. I'm going to read the card here. For me, I feel like this connects to the expansion of your soul, connecting to people, but also joys, pleasures, things that allow you to grow, that are going to be happening. New starts, new beginnings. Also alignment happening. For some of you, you could be winning the lottery. But to me, that's also metaphor, an example of a blessing that you may have discovered in retrospect or in your life, where you're like, wow, there may be a lot of gratitude for what you've learned, what you've experienced, and realize you're in a position for expansion, for movement, for choice, for a certain freedom. Okie dokes. Oh, I was looking at the wrong card. I'm going to read the message. Damn, this message kind of looks long. Okay, no, it's not. It's right here. If you think about it, you have an unending list of things for which to be grateful. In fact, if you could really see, you'd fall to your knees in absolute wonderment at the blessings in your life. The secret to having more isn't in strategizing on how to get the green grass on the other side of the fence. Radical gratitude is about beholding the miracle of the grass growing on your side of the fence. To rise to a higher level, you may even add your challenges and struggles to your gratitude list. With radical gratitude, you realize you are more abundant than you ever could have imagined. You've already won the lottery. You may have thought radical gratitude would be a threat to your ambition, a bucket of ice on your fire to achieve more. This is not so. Gratitude is magnetic. It will bring you the best things in life and give you even more to be grateful for in never-ending spiral of awe. The dream symbol, a windfall. Windfall. Dreams of winning the lottery are a sign that you've struck it rich. See this dream as positive reinforcement, a reward, that you are on the right track. I said that before. Your lottery dream is an energetic reminder that your life is a mountain of priceless gifts that will take a lifetime to unwrap. Get ready. In abundance, consciousness will attract even more blessings into your life. Here's your mantra. I am an attractor beam, magnetic to the best things in life. I'll put this up so you can see it. Okay, there we go. A quote here, gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. By Melody, it's a Beatty. You guys, gratitude right now. It may feel like the antithesis when things may be falling apart and you're like, that could be the perception because things are shifting and changing. You're like, what's happening? Especially with people when they leave your life or when you go through something where it's not what you may want. Maybe you feel like this is something that you deserve or it has to stay, and you may not realize that until after the fact. So for any of you, this may be a mark, a sign, a symbol to start a gratitude practice and to reframe some of what's happening, to express gratitude to your ancestors, to your spiritual team, to the universe, to God, about everything you've learned so far, how much you've been able to grow and heal, all of the amazing opportunities that you have been blessed with, and anything that you want to continue attracting more of into your life, or bringing in and working towards in terms of your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, you can express gratitude for that too. It really shifts you most of all. This can help some of you navigate through these changes, because it's really easy when things are either leaving, especially if you don't want them to go, or something that you don't want to end or change. It's really easy to turn to a negative mindset. And this is a really good reminder for all of us. Remember, change is only temporary, and it's something that is continuous. So things won't always be this way. Guys, I hope this reading has helped. Share with me what's been going on, anything you've experienced, anything that's different. Does this resonate? Am I just reading for one person? I hope this helps someone out there. I am truly grateful for you all. The best way to support me and my channel is to hit the thumbs up button. Share this if you feel other people can benefit from this. Give me your feedback or provide feedback. I'm open if I can improve. I've been working with my dogs to try to minimize noise and editing so you don't hear them slurping. Otherwise, you guys, I'm wishing you a lot of love, a big hug to you at this time. I will see you soon. Take care.